Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour, your source for all hard rock, heavy metal, new metal, alternative, punk, horror punk, hardcore, rock, and all local bands, with your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather.
This is Jimmy from Gears, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
The views and opinions of the guest do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Radio Network, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Radio Network.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I am your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather. As always, I bring you guys and gals awesome interviews. Today, it's an honor and a privilege to have Mr. Jimmy Wooten. He's the drummer of Gears. Miami-based hard heavy rock act Gears have released their official music video for Tango Yankee, which features the mighty Lajon Witherspoon of Sevendust. If you have not heard of Sevendust and Lajon, you've not been listening to the right radio stations out there, folks, and right music stations. So, Jimmy, my man, how's it going?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on. How are you?
We got two Kentucky guys on here. This is what I'm talking about, man.
Yeah. I'm slowly making the transition, being from the East Coast and then the West Coast and, settling in Kentucky because my wife is from here. It's definitely been quite an adjustment.
What's been your favorite part about Kentucky since you moved down here?
The quiet. It's really quiet here. When you're on the road and you're doing, you're out there and you're just on, you're playing shows and meeting people and doing press and doing interviews and all this stuff. You always have to be on. So when I come back here, it's kind of like a little bit of solitude. I just have, my wife and family and dogs, and I kind of get to concentrate on the family part a little bit better than, say if I was in a bustling city where I had a million people to hang out with, that might be, pose a little bit more of a distraction. But I definitely like the quiet here. And
plus, man, you're right in the epicenter of great concerts at Rupp Arena. Plus you got your straight shot to I guess Cincinnati. Plus you've got to Louisville. I mean, you're right in that little nucleus, man, that little center to where you're right at the fingertip of great concerts, which that's pretty cool, and hopefully one day I may get down that way and have me a home down there soon. Hopefully.
Yeah, man, come on down. Well, I mean, that's one great thing about Lexington. It's so centrally located for so many things. Just like you said, you're within an hour and a half of so many cool cities to go and see shows, to get away with the wife, to take the kids, cool places. There is definitely an advantage to that. And also from the touring aspect, if we end a tour anywhere near here, we can store the gear and everything here. And then, the next tour, we can kind of go in any direction where, if we end up, closer to where the band's from in Miami and we store everything there, we got to work down to Florida on the end of the tour. And then we got to work back out of it, from Miami, Florida to Atlanta, that's 7-8 hour drive.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, for sure.
so it's like it kind of limits what you can do without major transportation expense at the beginning of a tour.
How's it been working with Tag Publicity so far, man?
Tom and Tracy have been awesome. We've been working with them. I was working with Tom when he was at a previous place, and for about 3 years now we've been working together. And he's just always been really effective. He loves his writers. His writers love him. He loves music even more. He really takes care of his bands. And Tracy too, she's so, gung-ho and always, willing to jump in and help out whenever we have something going on. They've just been really a godsend. And it's very cool to see publicists that the true, passion for what they do is to help, new bands, old bands, established bands, unsigned bands, signed bands. They don't discriminate. They just they really want to help everybody and make, everybody aware of these new artists, or help, sustain established artists' success. And that's very rare to find, two people that are as genuine as they are. I mean, Tom and I have phone calls, every once in a while. He's such a busy guy. Whenever we do get on the phone, I mean, we're on the phone for an hour, 2 hours, and it's just, it's not really talking about the business, but just talking about music, talking about stuff that we love and stuff that we're passionate about, and what's on the slate next for Gears. He really does make you feel like you have another unofficial member in your band when you hire him.
I want to jump onto this because you're right, man. Tom and Tracy, I've worked with them for a while now, and they are so fucking awesome. And and I work with several other PR out there too. That's just as awesome as they are. I like how they push and push and push. When you sign up with those folks and the other ones I work with, you're going to get your fucking money's worth. That's hands down, bottoms up. I'm just telling you right now, that's exactly how it's going to go. They are awesome people to work with.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. 100% on that.
I want to jump back to 2014 because when I saw this kind of floored me on what you guys went through, because this is crazy. So 3 days into your tour, your equipment trailer disconnected. It resulted in a massive, horrific accident. Not only did you lose gear, but the tour van was totaled. Some band members sustained serious injuries. This was a tremendous blow to you guys, but you guys endured it and you continued the tour. Later, it developed that some of the founding members actually couldn't do it anymore, so they left the band. When this all happened, man, was you kind of like going in and out, going, "Are we going to be able to continue? Is this it?" What was going through your mind at the time, if you know?
Man, everything happened so quickly when we put this band together. I went down there to Miami, and we rented a house from friends of our singer, and we kind of built like a little studio in it, and we just started writing songs. And when we did the songs, I mean, everything came together so fast. I mean, I think from start to finish, we wrote the songs, recorded the record, flew Corey down to produce the record and record it, had a video shot. I mean, we did everything inside of, less than 25 days, something like that. So, I mean, we had a really good amount of momentum built up. So we were really excited. Every member of the band, that we started the lineup that started the band, everybody had, kind of done their own thing in different projects, to a certain degree and certain level of achievement. So, we were all looking for a fresh start, and we were super excited. We start, the record comes out, we do a record release party in Miami, and do another show, I think. And then we're on our way to, up north to do, because we did very select markets, and we did like a bunch of CD release parties in like cities that I've lived in, cities where our bass player was from, other markets that were really strong touring markets for, either, any members of the band. So it was kind of selective on which cities we did. I think that first tour was like 20 some dates or something. So, we're going up, and we're going from Florida. We did a handful of shows in Florida. We're going up 95 to get to, I think Philly or Jersey was the next show. And when it happened, it was just like, man, this is, it was crazy. And we couldn't believe what was going on. And everybody, the singer had black eyes, and the guitar player's knee was hurting, and the bass player who was driving, he was all shaken up from because he was the one who was driving. And, I had a torn labrum in my shoulder and everything, open up the trailer and all the gear's trashed and all this stuff. But I mean, we just had to keep doing it, because we had everything else had come together like so easily, and so organically, and we weren't going to let that kind of, get us down. So we didn't miss any shows on that tour. We hustled and found a box truck, or actually, no, we did a box truck and a car, and drove all the way. We did the whole tour like that, and it was grueling because now, you got to have one guy driving the box truck and one guy driving the car, which we rented like a hybrid car or something, like a Prius or something like that. So we just kept going, but it was really stressful, and it's not the way that we would have wanted, our first tour, as a band, happening. but we just had to do it because, you know, we had so much momentum built up that I knew that if we canceled it and put it off, then we would just lose all that momentum. And I mean, we were hurt. My shoulder was hurting, you know, second song in every night, you know, and it was a headlining tour. So we're playing like 45 minutes to an hour each night. And I'm just like, geez, you know, what am I going to do with this? So we got through that, man. And, you know, there's some things with the lineup. You know, we did a couple more tours with that lineup. And then, you know, two of the guys, Eli and Tommy, they weren't really into it anymore. You know, Eli was just having a new baby girl. So she was just born right before the last run of that year. So it was just a better decision for him to be home and be with his family. And, you know, same thing with Tommy. He just kind of, you know, the first year of touring was rough. You know what I mean? So it was kind of, you know, I guess, you know, he wasn't seeing the reward. You know, maybe I don't know. I can't speak for him, but I mean, those guys were very instrumental in getting everything together, and you know, wish them all the best of luck. And you know, Trip and I are still here, and we've been keeping it going since then.
You know, when you're young and you're wanting to get out on tour, like, yeah, we're gonna go on tour, yeah, fuck yeah, and then here comes the loading of the vehicle, and you're like, oh shit,
yeah.
We only got room for two.
Oh
people.
yeah, and I mean, it was our first tour too as a band, so you know, we didn't know what kind of money we could expect.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, we didn't have any crew guys like we do now on the first tour. You know, we didn't have anyone until later on in that year. You know, we brought on I think one or two guys, you know, to tour with us and handle the gear and the merch and you know that kind of stuff. And that took some, you know, that took some of the stress off, you know, the band members so that we could, you know, focus more on the performance and you know, the show aspect of everything. But yeah, when you're starting out, you know, I don't care who you are, you know, there's no guarantee that any of this is going to work out, you know? So, you know, you kind of take it in baby steps as far as, you know, managing expenses and all that. So that was definitely where we were.
It's a rude awakening. That's for damn sure. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, there's, you know, ask anybody that's been, you know, touring for, you know, any amount of time and has been through a little bit of it. It's always like, you know, yeah, go on tour. They said it'll be fun. They said, you know, it's like
wear the same clothes. They say.
Yeah, it's like you get to see venues and truck stops. That's about it.
Yeah.
I would say travel everywhere and see nothing.
You guys have released your official music video for Tango Yankee, which features the mighty Lajon Witherspoon of Sevendust. How important was it for the band to release a song video for the military? And we'll get into talking to Lajon here in just a second.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's so funny because you and I were talking before we went on the record, you know, about press outlets and, you know, the people that comment on it. And, you know, some people are you know, we're kind of mean about it, you know, more support the troops rhetoric or whatever. But what people don't know is when we wrote this song with Corey in his studio, Corey Lowery, you know, Trip, his son, was in the Marines at the time. So he really wanted to write a song about that. And you know, I've had several family members serve in the military. My cousin just got out recently. My other cousin, you know, has been out for a few years. My baby cousin, she just went into the military. She just finished basic training in Texas.
Oh, wow.
And so, I mean, that's very close to us. And not to mention that, you know, firefighters in my family. Trip's son is actually looking to, you know, pursue a career in fire department and emergency rescue. And I was raised by a cop, you know, and so my grandfather was a police officer. And if it wasn't for him, you know, I don't know that I would have, you know, anything resembling the life that I do now. He pulled me out of some pretty bad situations. And, you know, my grandparents, like, you know, really helped me straighten my life out. And that's, you know, kind of why we wanted to do it. So it's more, yes, it's about supporting the military, but it's also to recognize not only the sacrifice that the military and you know, police and firefighters and emergency response people make, but also the families. And that was the original idea behind the video, is to give the families an opportunity to say thank you. And of course, Tango Yankee in the phonetic alphabet, you know, that the military and, you know, police use is T and Y.
Right.
So that's where we got the name for it. But yeah, that's what it was all about. It was supposed to be really something, and I think we achieved that. It was very special, and a great way for not only us to say thank you to our family, but for other families to say thank you.
I know you know I was going to ask this, but what would your grandparents say, or have they said to this day, seeing you accomplish some great feats, man, as a musician and a father, husband, friend, and family member? What have they said to you so far, man?
Man, I hope they're proud. I think they are. They come down to Kentucky quite a bit. I know that they always laugh, about like they could never, they would have never pictured me to end up in Kentucky. You know what I mean? But they come down and they get to see the kids and the dogs, and they come and stay for a couple of days, and they love it. And whenever I'm home, the band, everybody that's ever toured in any band with me knows that when they get to Jersey, they got especially if it's during the summer, got some crabs and beer waiting for them. My aunt and grandparents and sister are always good, for having a good band meal, so if we can schedule a day off in there, I always try to do that. But no, I think that they're, they'd be pretty, I think that they're pretty happy with how everything's, gone.
Yeah, there's nothing like having your grandparents to look at you and tell you that they're proud of you. And I don't care to mention this because I love my grandparents more than anything in this world. But before my grandfather passed away, he said he was proud of me because I stayed and took care of my mom. Mm-hmm. And I know this is going off record of the interview, but you know what? Fuck it. Family means a lot to me. So
it's everything. Yeah, it's everything.
There was nothing more prouder than I am of that, for him to say that, because most kids today, they treat their family especially their parents, like shit. How can you do that? I don't know.
Well, that's definitely not happening in my house. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we could go on and on about parenting styles, and I don't know what sure. The right way is or the wrong way. But I mean, I definitely think that a little respect goes a long way. So
yeah, that's for sure. What about the mighty Lajon? I know you've worked with Corey, and we're going to get into that too here, but how did it come about of getting Lajon on this, and what was his thoughts on this, working with you guys on this, man?
Well, I mean, we were in the studio, and when we did the song, we wanted to make it like really special. We wanted to do something that we hadn't ever done before. So we were talking about possible people to guest on it, and it just so happened that when we recorded this, this song, we tracked the song like 2017, I think. And it's just taken us that long to get it all, put together and ready for release around touring and stuff like that. But, yeah, it was, we came up and Corey came up with the idea. He's just like, well, Sevendust guys are going to be here next week, they were doing 2 or 3 shows over St. Patty's Day weekend at Masquerade in their hometown of Atlanta. And I think it was the tour that they were doing, the first record front to back. And I was like, if LJ is going to be in town, you think that he would want to do this. And Corey hit him up, and next thing you know, Corey was tracking vocals with LJ for the song.
That's so cool. And like I said, folks, if you ever get a chance to go out and check out Sevendust, you need to, because they will give you every dime of your money that you spent on that ticket to see them. Hands down, one of the best live bands out there. Even when they first started, that's how good they are.
Oh, 100%, man. I think I remember seeing them for the first time. I was like 16 or 17, maybe.
Yeah.
And, it was just a whole nother level. I mean, those guys threw it down, and there was no question about it. I mean, talk about kicking ass and taking names. I mean, they've been doing it from day one that I saw them. And they just keep getting stronger and stronger. And it's kind of funny because, there's people out there that haven't heard of the band. I mean, I get it. I'm a musician. I'm in the scene, especially like with Morgan being such an, iconic drummer and LJ, voice, being one of like the most recognizable voices in rock, and the stuff that Clint and Vinny and John write and put together, like the band really is, the best band out there. I mean, so many times I've been at a festival or a show, where that's one band where every other band member is watching them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like They're not off getting drinks. They're not off partying on the buses. Like when Sevendust is on the stage, all hands on deck. Everybody is there because you're going to learn something. No, you going to learn today when you see Sevendust. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Not just LJ, but I'm telling you, Morgan, John, all the guys, so sweet guys, man. They
Yep.
never meet a stranger. So, folks, let me tell you, if you just hang out and wait and talk to them, they'll be more than happy to talk to you for 5 minutes. They honestly will. Trust me.
Yeah, man, they're aces. That is for sure.
Jimmy, who directed the music video for Tango Yankee?
Man, there was it came in a couple different stages. So we had our friend Kev shoot a lot of the live video of the band performing at one of our favorite venues, down in Florida at the Haven. Axel, Maria, and Josie were cool enough to let us come in there and shoot video. And so we got a bunch of the live footage from there, and then one of our really great friends who does a lot of freelance photography, rock photography, had gotten some really great photos of LJ at a show that he played there recently. So we were superimposed those in there with it because we just couldn't get schedules to line up to be able to do an actual, live video with LJ there with us. I mean, they were on the road a lot at that time. We were, we were constantly missing each other whenever we tried to set it up. So, and then we had a guy, that works with us in developing social media. Jota, he and his partner, friend Samuel, they put together like the editing and all the cool animation and, put the lyrics on there, So that's, was the ultimate product. It came from a bunch of different sources and, the stuff that the footage that Kev got from Pristine in Florida was great. And then, with Jota and Sam's, editing skills, it really came out great. And then, you saw the stills of LJ that are on there. If you check out, Mary, who did the still photography. I mean, she just got really great shots that were cool, and she was cool enough to let us use them. She shoots the band constantly, whatever we're in Florida, whether it's a show or we have a day off, we always try to work with her and get a, good photo shoot or something, going on whenever we're there.
So are you guys currently working on writing for a full length, or you want to do an EP?
Man, right now it's such a singles market. Nobody's buying the packaged music product anymore. It's all with streams and downloads. So we have a ton of music that's not quite finished yet. So that's kind of why we've taken a break off the road. It's just kind of concentrating on getting the new music out there, get it finished, and out there and released. And I think we're just going to release some singles for a while. I don't really, for the marketplace today, I don't really see the point, unless you're an established band, someone that everybody knows. I just don't think that people are, going to listen to a whole record. People's attention spans are somewhat shorter, and, their expectation of what the final product of a record, it's a little different now. Mm-hmm. It's the songs are popular, very few records, how many records, today come out where you just pop it in the car, even if you're, just streaming it, do you listen front to back?
Right.
I think that's, I think there's all kinds of, psychological and social reasons for that. I think that everything is, we have everything at our fingertips now. Everything's on demand. Whenever we want it, we got it. So I don't think that, everyone, has quite the focus on, like me. I remember, waiting outside of the Tower Records, on it every Tuesday, because that's when the CD, new CDs or tapes came out, and getting a record and just like wearing it out, the first month or two that you had it, front to back, never skip a song, you never heard a fast forward or the skip button. You just listen to that whole thing. So, as much as I would love to be able to just go in and spend, 2 months on making a monster record the way they used to do it, it just doesn't seem to make much sense anymore. It's kind of, you release the single and you double down and you push it for a little bit, and then hopefully, by the time that, traction is kind of wearing down, you have another single ready to go.
With these set of songs that you've already got wrote right now, do you have any that stand out more to you than any right now, if possible, that you can talk about, maybe that's going to be upcoming maybe?
Well, we definitely have some stuff up our sleeve. There's some very cool stuff that we've recorded that we will be releasing soon. Definitely have another one with a huge guest on it, which is going to be really fun. We have everything done except the actual guest. So that's going to be cool to have everybody fly in and hang out in the studio for a couple days and, track what needs to be tracked and, shoot a little video and put that out. That's probably the one I'm most looking forward to. But we have a bunch of other good stuff. See, it's always funny because, we try, you try to release stuff in a certain way that, being a, independent, unsigned band, we always try to get the most bang for our buck on everything we do. So, when you're self-financing and doing all this, so it's, a lot of times, we have songs that we tracked like Tango Yankee, we tracked that 2017 and it's just now getting out. But, the problem with that is you have stuff in the hopper that needs to get out, and then you record, and every time you record something, like the next, it's always, oh man, because you've heard all the stuff already to you. So it's like kind of like, not old news, but old news. And, you get more excited about every new thing that you do, and you try not to, leapfrog the stuff that you've done before. So it gets, when you have so much in the hopper, it gets to be really, really difficult to pick which ones, are going to go out in which order. But yeah, we have some very cool stuff with some very cool people involved coming soon.
Now, you guys have been working with Corey Lowery since, 2014, 2015? And
yeah, since the beginning, the first one.
Yeah, and he's produced all your stuff. But does he get anything extra out of you that no one else has possibly? Does he push you guys when you're in that studio working with him?
Well, I think that's why we keep going back to him, man. He always gets, I've known Corey, most of my adult life, and he's one of my closest, oldest friends. And it's a lot easier to take certain things from him because he's going to put you through it when you're in that studio, man. He is. He's going to do, you're going to work hard, and he's going to get the best performance possible out of you. And sometimes, it's a little easier to take from someone that and I love Corey, and someone that I care about and I trust has my best and the band's best interests, in mind, at heart. So, when I go in there and he's, breaking my balls, like, dude, you need to tighten up that kick pattern. You need to do this, falling off the click, that kind of thing, where it's someone that you don't really know, it's kind of like, oh, that sounded good to me. What's this guy being a dick for? You know what I mean? But with Corey, like, I know it's all for the best, possible product. Right. And same thing, with Trip. I mean, like, Trip and I are like brothers, Corey, we include him in that, and he always gets the best out of Trip, and he pushes Trip and, make sure that, you need to sing this part, you need to do this, you need to do that, we need to be a little bit more aggressive here. We need to lay back here. We need to show some soul here. We need to, and he just is really in tune with, I think, what we want to sound like, even if we don't really know what we want to sound like. You know what I mean? He just makes it happen for us. I've never been disappointed with any product that, we've ever done with Corey.
And plus, too, man, even though that's your music that's going out there, that's his music, too, that's getting put out there. That's his reputation of saying, hey, who produced this, And he wants people to hear that and be like, Corey Lowery did this. So that's good that he's taking this and pushing you guys, because that's his name out there, too.
Oh, of course. I mean, you ask anybody, Corey has a great reputation. He puts out a great product. His production skills are second to none. His writing skills even better. And I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but I mean, he even played bass and rhythm guitar on the last, 2 records that we've done, last 2 sets of sessions, I mean, you couldn't really ask for anyone to, contribute more than he does. I mean, he's done it all with us, and he's been with us from, like I said, day one.
Jimmy, do you still see this band musically growing from where it started, or has it just been more of a personal growth for each of you involved in this?
Man, it's really strange, because as a musician, an industry and a market that is just so difficult. There's so many great bands out there and so many great records being put out. There's so much competition that, you do get downed. You know what I mean? You kind of like, man, I wish, why aren't we on that tour? Or, why isn't, this press outlet picking up our single? Why isn't this person? So, I mean, there's always, certain things, but you always have to look at it this way. It's like you never compare your everyday life to someone else's highlight reel. You don't know what all the other bands are going through. They're going through all the same shit we are, man. It might be on a different scale, but everybody's going through the same thing. Everybody's competing for, that download or that stream, that video view, that Facebook like. We're all trying to do the same thing. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, sometimes it's discouraging, especially, I've been around and doing this for a pretty long time, and I've seen, the time where people actually bought records. I've seen, the transition of different, the direction that the market's gone.
Sure.
And, you're just kind of always trying to figure out, what's the best way to succeed. As far as personal growth, I think the band is on the right track, man. I don't think, I think every band has a period, a growing period. And I don't care how long you've been in it. If you're going to do something with people that's going to last, any kind of time or have any kind of longevity, you first have to find your identity. And I feel like that's what the first 3 years of this band were. I don't think that, I think it was, the first record, I don't think that was 100% what the band is. At that time, I think it helped. I think the songs were great. I'm very proud of the record we made. But then the next record, is another step in the evolution of the band and the product and, the music and the songwriting and all that. And I think that it just constantly evolves. And until we come up with something that like, I just don't like, or I feel like we're taking a step back, or if Trip feels like we're taking a step back, or, I just think that it's always, going in the right direction. So that's pretty much it. Personal growth wise, I mean, I met Trip for the first time face to face, in February of 2014. And we were all kind of strangers in a room. Like everybody knew someone else in the band, but nobody like knew. There wasn't one person that knew everybody and was super tight. So over the years, Trip and I have stood by each other through a lot of shit. Having to let other people other band members go, other band members leaving, and then he's always been my partner in crime, dude. Like there's no person I would rather go into battle with. And, now with the addition of our new bass player, Josh, he's the same. He was our tour manager first. So he knows all about what this thing's, he knows all about, what we're trying to get done. And that's why it made sense to be, for him to take over, that spot. So, I mean, it's going in the right direction.
Are you happy with the sound right now, or do you want to be a little heavier?
Man, it depends on my mood.
Okay.
We have some songs that are definitely heavier. We have some songs that are more I don't want to say songwriter-ish, but more, I think everything has a great amount of content, but some things are a little bit more soulful. I mean, I just really think that ends up being what kind of mood are we in when we're doing these sessions and working. And, like when we're on the road, a lot of these, semi-recorded songs happen because we don't like days off on the road. So if there's a day off, we'll try and find a studio and go in there for the day and just track what we can. And, a lot of times I really like doing that because, in the middle of a tour, that's when the band is the tightest. Everybody's been on, the road for a couple weeks and everybody's playing really well together. And that's a good time, I think, to get recordings together. Everybody's kind of knocked the dust off, the rust off from being, home and doing our civilian life thing. And, that's just the best time. But yeah, I mean, I think sometimes that we write stuff that's a lot heavier. And then other times we just, I don't think we set out to say, oh, I want to sound like this. It's just kind of how it happens. And that's, the best thing organically. We don't say, hey, you think this single would be good on, Octane or, on the radio or whatever. We just don't think about that as much as just putting, Corey always says, just write great songs. He's like, if you think you're writing a great song, people will feel that passion and they'll feel it through the music and it'll connect, because you can write a song, and what you wrote the song about, but maybe someone else's interpretation of that is totally different, and that can help them through something. You know what I mean? And then you meet them on the road and they're like, man, that song, I really felt that. And, I kind of went through the same thing. And then they tell you the story and it's like, well, I'm so happy and so humbled that it helped you through that. But in my mind, I'm thinking, man, I wrote that song about, someone that I didn't like. You know what I mean? It's like, Trip and I wrote those lyrics. That's a fight song. You know what I mean? So it's like, we were declaring war on somebody, but that's the beauty of music, man. It's all in the eye of the beholder, or the ear of the beholder.
That's exactly
whatever
right.
people listen, it helps connect those brain waves and emit, emotion, and that's what it's about. That's what it's about, period.
What can fans expect at a show from Gears who have not got to see you guys live as of yet when you take this out on the road, man?
Loud, we try to be, dynamic and aggressive and high energy and just connecting with people, constantly. I really can't. It's hard to describe a show, because I think every band strives for the same thing, just to really connect with people I love when we go out on tours with bigger acts and we're in a support slot where maybe, nobody's ever heard of us in the room, or, people haven't heard of us in the room. And from being on the drums, I can just kind of, side eye look at the people, and, you see them, and, when you walk out on stage, to your intro or whatever, and you see people with their arms folded, with like kind of like rolling their eyes. And then by the second or third song, their like eyes are wide open. And I'm like, holy fuck, like, these guys are fucking killing it. You know what I mean? And that is right there why we do it. You know what I mean? It's 5 or 5,000. It doesn't matter if there's 5 people there or 5,000 people there. It's the same show. And you just, I love winning people over. I even like it if people don't like the band, because so many times, people come up and they're like, man, I'm not really like clicking with the music, but I'll tell you what, you guys put on a hell of a show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's you get so many opportunities to impact people in so many different ways. Like, that's why music's awesome.
So what made you want to become a musician, Jimmy? What was that spark for you that said, yeah, that's what I want to do?
Oh man, I was just always around music, playing. Like, I had some uncles that were drummers. I had MTV, and they were like the coolest motherfuckers you ever saw. Was, the dudes on MTV, Motley Crue, and fucking all them, all them bands, Pantera, and it was just always something that clicked with me, man. And I was always around, musicians, and it was never too far to find someone that played music. And I think there's always like, David Bowie and Elvis and all these, iconic characters, Led Zeppelin, that turn you on to music. But I think at a young age, like, just watching people, the way they spoke about music, like, people are passionate about their music, especially back in the day. It was always, you'd find these bands that were super unknown, and that was kind of like your band, and you took ownership of them, and you put them in your pocket, and you showed everybody that you knew that band that they had never heard of. And it was always, you were always the coolest dude in the room if you could come up with a band that nobody ever heard of, and then for them to actually be good was on, an added bonus, so it's always like, I always wanted to be that guy, that guy that people are like, oh man, you got to check out this band, and I wanted to be the guy that we were talking about when we were kids. You know what I mean? I always wanted to do that. And I always wanted to, play music for a living, and I'm fortunate enough that I've been able to do that.
Is there a country that stands out or even shocks you that Gears gets support from, or the music even gets played in that area?
Man, I was just looking at our Spotify stuff the other day, and it's not really shocking, because it's so cool the way that we just have everything, technology enables us to have, so much more of a wide audience. But like, you see stuff from, Germany and Spain and Italy and, Australia. And so, not really. We had an interview request one time from an Australian guy, and I was like, man, that's pretty much as far from where we're at right now that we can get to. So it was like, that was probably the most like shocking, it's like, man, how did our stuff get over there? It's like, oh yeah, the internet.
Is there a band on your bucket list that you would like to tour with, or maybe even do an old school album split possibly?
Oh man, the list is too long. So many. Deftones, Sevendust, Korn,
Who would be that number one band though for you?
the number one band? I mean, over any time period, or still alive, or what?
Anybody. I don't care if it's Jacques Cousteau, whoever.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I'd have to go with Zeppelin or Bowie.
Oh.
You know, they're my two favorite ever. Maybe, you know, maybe even Prince. I think from an actual like technical and learning experience, I think that it would be Prince, just because that dude was so talented and so creative and worked with so many artists, and always the stuff that he worked with that particular artist on was always the best stuff that they ever put out. Not to like down, you know, any of the other stuff that they put out, but the stuff that Prince works on is always so great. You know, he's very much like a modern Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan wrote so many songs that he doesn't, you know, necessarily get recognized to the masses, you know, for so many great artists in the 60s and 70s. I think Prince is that, you know, guy for my generation, you know, or even maybe a little before my generation, but I think it would definitely be Prince.
Folks, get out and check out Gears' new video. It's their official video for Tango Yankee. Thank you. That's to the military, the first responders, people like that. So definitely want to get out and check out Gears and things like that. So, Jimmy, how can folks stay in touch with you guys? Buy some merchandise, tour dates when you go on tour, tickets, all that good stuff. How can you do that, my friend?
Well, we have a website. It's kind of under construction right now, but it'll direct you everywhere. That's gearsofficial.com. gearsofficial.com. You can, you know, find all of our social media links there. I believe we have the video up there right now. We're in the process of designing a whole new web page. It'll have links to the online store. We're on all the social media. So just like every other band, you know, you can find us that way.
Before I let you go, good sir, would you care to do a promo for my show?
No, let's do it. Okay. This is Jimmy from Gears, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and BODS Mayhem Radio Network. Please get out and check out our Facebook page. It has our YouTube channel. Plus, it has our podcast link and hopefully soon a Twitch link. We've got other stuff that's going to be happening for BODS Mayhem Hour as well. Also, get out and check out Gears. Give them support. You will not be disappointed. Jimmy, man, you're welcome back here anytime you want, and you have the support from us as well, man, so thank you.
Hell yeah, man. You were awesome, dude. Thanks for having me. Thanks for, you know, digging the band and supporting and helping us, you know, get some more of the word out. You know, really appreciate, you know, all the press that takes interest in us, and you know, talking to you has been great. It's been a really fun experience. I told you earlier that I had I get a bit of social anxiety on these things, and you made it really super easy for me today, man. I really appreciate that.
That's not a problem, brother. We're all family. That's the way I feel. So you don't mean to.
That's right, brother.
Thanks, dude.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.